All right, we are up and going. Okay, so the first thing, and this is something I'd like you guys to kind of be in the habit of doing all the time, is we're going to crop. And I would like you to crop this one to an 8 by 10, which means you're going to lose a lot. So you're going to have to be very selective with which part you do. And I want you to notice that it's kind of on a tilt. If I look at this building here in the corner, it's on a tilt. So I want you to move it outside the corner like so, and just rotate a little bit until this line of the building feels a little straighter. You may not want it to go completely straight because it cuts out a lot, but just rotate a little bit so that these lines, the power lines, go to the corner. All right, now I'm just doing a screen record without showing you guys, so if you get stuck on something, please do say something out loud just so I can hear you. And then decide how many drops in the back you want, and then where you're going to position that single splash. I'm going to go just a little slower today so that people can catch up and do this along with me if they would like to. All right, so now I'm going to go to my adjustments. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to go to my light. Normally, right, I would do my highlights down, shadows up. That's where I would start. We're actually not going to start there. If you have water or you have a sky space, I would like you to start with your effects. And in your effects, we are going to change the dehaze and the clarity. So this is kind of like when it's hazy, when it's cloudy in your sky, or you have something that's a filter between your object and what you're seeing. So in this case, our filter is that water, and we want to dehaze the water. So when I pull this up, you're going to see it cuts the haziness of the water and it gets a lot clearer. And as it does that, I start to see there are blues and greens and things inside. I get the texture of the stones as well as the lines on top. So I have these two surfaces interacting with each other now. So you can decide how much dehazing you want. I'm going to go pretty strong. I'm going to go in the 70s. And you can also play with the clarity. And that clarity is simply going to sharpen some things up. Now be careful with this. You're going to notice as you pull the clarity up, your shadows go completely dark and they get completely black. So in this, you want to decide, what do I want to show? What do I want to hide? And that is a little bit of a personal choice. I wouldn't go so far so everything goes to solid black, just because I think you lose information, but I'm going to go pretty strong. And you can decide with texture if you want a little bit sharper or if you want a little fuzzier and dreamy. So I might boost my texture just a fraction. I'm not going to go too strong on that because I don't want it to look like this almost like weird pixelated version. So I'm not going very strong in my texture. It's kind of how I'm processing that. All right, so I would start there, just because I know water is a hazing, filtering effect. Now, secondly, I'm going to go into the light. And in the light, this is where I would want to then fix anything that I see is wrong. So I might still pull those highlights down. I might lighten the shadows just a little bit, and I'm going to get some texture back in where this building was, but I don't lose the texture in my water too much. I can boost the whites, deepen the blacks, and just make my last adjustments in light for what I want. I can decide if I want the exposure lighter or darker. That's kind of my choice, but now I can see through my water a lot better. So step one was in your effects, changing the dehaze and clarity, and step two was in your light. All right, now step three is going to be in our color. And I am actually going to boost my saturation pretty strong because my scene for the most part was really black and white because I just had the reflection, so there wasn't a lot of color in there. So I know before I said, boost your vibrance, those are cool colors, and you're going to see that when I boost this, my blues really come out. And the saturation, I'm doing that so I get the gold. Vibrance is always cool colors, saturation is always my warm colors. So I'm going to do some vibrance and I'm going to do some saturation. And I just want to show you just the difference that we did so far in this. So here's my before, really flat and dull. Looks almost like it's a black and white picture. And after those adjustments of dehaze and saturation, I do get some color tone in here. If I wanted to, I could still go into individual colors, and I could decide to boost that orange a lot or boost the yellow a lot. And those are kind of, some artistic choices for you to figure out if you like that. Maybe I like this gold up here in the corner now. I have this really strong bright spot to mirror this bright spot down here and creates this nice diagonal movement. And so I'm thinking of my pictures like, yes, I've taken these pictures, but now how do I make that extra artistic choice to move my pictures from dull and ordinary to really exciting? And that's where the time kind of gets spent, is really in the editing. The shooting, once you get a great picture, you got a great picture. How can you really boost that to make it exciting? So, first options, okay? So if you like this, do a quick screenshot so you have a copy of that, because we are going to change it up. One option for you to save. And then when you get a chance, I would like you to open up the other one. So I'm going to leave that one. We're going to come back to that one. We're going to leave that one and do something completely different. I think I gave you 106, so let me go find the one I gave you. It might be slightly different, but let me see if I can find, there's a puddle on the left, which I really liked. Oh man. Well, if mine is slightly different, it's okay. It's what we're going to do with it that's going to matter. So I'm just going to pick, since I don't have the numbers on this one, I'll pick this one. All right, might be similar to the one you have, might be slightly different. I thought I had a ripple over here on the power lines, so I'm going to go with this one. Okay. So on this one, if you would please crop it to 2x3 this time. I want this to be a little bit longer, a little bit skinnier. And again, you decide, just make sure you do get a nice strong ripple inside there wherever you have decided to crop it. And we're going to go over into our adjustments. And we are going to start with our profiles. So profiles are always at the top. They're underneath where your color and things are. Now if you go simply into monochrome, it does change it into black and white, but it doesn't give you all the options. So you want to go into Browse All Profiles. Now in here, you have a lot of different changes as it goes through, which we have kind of viewed these before. One thing I want to encourage you, if you are doing something with water, is to opt for something that is a little brighter. Not so bright that you lose everything, but something so your highlights are really strong. So I'm going to choose black and white 4. If you notice on 3, it's a little bit darker, and I want you to choose something like 4, just because we are going to pull out the clarity, and when you pull out the clarity, it actually tends to get darker. So if you have sky spaces or you have water, in this case, I would choose something brighter. So I'm going to choose the preset, but I'm not going to leave the preset. Before we chose the preset and we left it there. This time we're going to choose the preset and make a change. So I've chosen that preset, but I'm going to go back into my adjustments, and I'm going to go back into my effects, and now I'm going to go into dehaze and a little bit of clarity. And as you can see, it automatically got a lot darker right away, which is why I knew I wanted to choose something lighter. So just a way to combine your presets that you know about in your profiles that you know about with the actual adjustments, which are more fine-tuning things. All right. While you were in there, on the bottom, you should see this thing called split toning. Now, split toning allows you to do things that are, the highlights are one color and the shadows are another color. So I'm going to jump over here really quickly and just show you the effect of that. So one of my effects, I'm going to close it out here. I'm going to show you one that I finished already when split toning. So this is an image that is split tone. My highlights are this warm color and my shadows are the cool color. So the split tone is a yellow and a blue. And so it feels a little bit like that black and white, but it has something a little bit extra to it. So this is actually just a preset. I'm going to show you because I'm in a different program over here. I'm on the web version. So this is just a preset, if it will load. And it's going to be, actually it's in your black and white. So it's one of your black and white presets and it's called split tone right here. Now it is a preset one, so it's already in there. It's already choosing those two colors. You can always click on this one and it will give you this effect right here. It will be the gold and the blue, very light in split tone. But we are going to do our own. Okay, so remember if you do want that one, it is underneath here. And instead of that, it's all profiles and you are going to choose split tone. But let's make one. So when I click on my split tone, come on. Oh, sorry, I'm slow. There. Oh, seriously? Come back, come back. There we go. Okay, so I just had to double click it to open up my split tone. I have my highlights and I have my shadows listed here. So right now I have nothing. So if I click on my highlight and I choose what I want that color to be, and I would opt in your highlights for something in the lighter realm, not super saturated because you're going to mix it. So I'm going to choose any color I want for my highlights. In general, photographers tend to use warm colors for the highlights and cool colors for the shadow, simply because in real life the sun is warm and in the shadow it's cooler colors. Things far away tend to be cooler colors. So that's just what photographers tend to choose. So for the first one, you can experiment however you want. But I'm going to choose something in my warm tones. I'm going to choose a sort of warm pinkish violet. And then in my shadows, I'm going to choose a cool color. And you're going to get, this is what I call it, is a split tone effect. So in my lighter tones, I have this magenta. In my darker tones, I have this blue. And that's just split toning. And as you shift things, you can see different effects if you make it more saturated or if you make it less saturated. But it just allows you to do like a two-color mixture in a photo that still feels like black and white. So that's a really fun addition to what you have. Remember, if you just go into your profiles and you go under the black and white, you are just going to find the one that's very lighty. It's just the warm and the cool. It's that yellow and the yellow and the blue. Okay. So you have some other adjustments and things you can do inside there. But if you want to make your own, then you just have to go down here to the split toning. Okay. So we did two things together. We did this first one where we cropped it, dehazed, saturated, added some clarity to it. We did the second one, which was our split toning. We cropped it, we made it black and white, we adjusted the black and white, and then we added the split tone. And then the last thing I want to do is just add the vignette. So let's go back to our other one here. Our single drop. And on your single drop, you're going to add in, it was under effects, it is not, it is. So go back under your effects, we had our clarity, we had our dehaze. Some of you found this already, which was really exciting. I'm glad you experimented. And we have the vignette. The vignette is simply this shape on the outside. So I can make it a dark halo, I can make it a light halo. And if I do this little tiny triangle and I toggle down, you have some other options underneath that. So the vignette is simply that halo. So I'm going to make a dark halo because I think it's easier for you guys to see right now. The midpoint is just, do I want it tight? Do I want it wide? So I can zoom in and create more of a focal point by creating this halo. I can decide if I want it to be round or square. And the feather is just how soft or how sharp is that edge. So if you like that idea of like sort of Polaroid feel or that vintage feel, it's actually a pretty sharp vignette. So I'm going to soften it just a little bit, and I can decide to keep it pretty square, which is kind of cool, or super round. And I'm just opting for something kind of square because I like that sort of old-fashioned Polaroid effect to it. And I can just decide how tight for the midpoint or how wide it's going to be. And that's what I would like you to play with and submit. All right, so you have one that you're going to edit with Dehaze and color and do the vignette, and you have one that you're going to do on the split tone. Okay, so I've recorded this whole thing. I'm just going to hit stop right now and upload it. So if you want to go back through and play with this, you can do that too. So you have until midnight to do these two things and just upload. It's kind of just our in-class activity. If you have things that you've already played with, then you can just upload that too if you've been doing this with me. But if you haven't, then I'm just going to record this and then upload that so you have a chance to go back.